The gymnasium was almost silent now. The squeak of sneakers and roar of the crowd had faded into memory, leaving behind only the low hum of fluorescent lights and the faint scrape of a mop gliding across the polished floor. Ms. Ruthie moved slowly but deliberately, her steps steady, her focus sharp despite her age. She swept under the bleachers, humming a tune no one her age remembered anymore. Her gray curls were tied back with a faded blue bandana, and her janitor's jumpsuit had patches sewn on by hand. She had worked at Lincoln High for over 20 years, and tonight was just another shift. Across the court, 3 boys lingered. Jay, Mike, and Ty, seniors, basketball players, cocky, and always looking for ways to burn off leftover adrenaline after a game. Jay spun a basketball lazily on his finger while the others tossed crumpled snack wrappers toward a trash bin and missed deliberately, laughing each time. Jay's eyes drifted to the woman cleaning alone under the bleachers. He nudged Mike with his elbow. "Watch this," he whispered. "Yo, Granny," Jay called, loud enough to echo across the gym. Ms. Ruthie didn't respond at first. She simply kept sweeping, slowly dragging the broom beneath the rows of seats. The boys took that as encouragement. "Hey," Jay shouted again, louder now. "You ever throw a punch in your life?" Ms. Ruthie paused, her back straightened just a bit. She turned her head slightly but didn't fully face them. Ty chuckled. "She probably thinks UFC is a cable channel." Mike whooped. "Yeah, or maybe a bakery." They laughed like it was the funniest thing in the world. Jay walked forward, spinning the ball, stopping just a few feet from her. "Come on, step into the ring," he said, gesturing to the center of the basketball court. "We'll go easy on you. 1 round, I'll even let you get the first hit." Ms. Ruthie looked at him finally. Her expression was unreadable, neither angry nor amused. "Just calm. I came here to clean the mess," she said softly, "not make one." Jay grinned. "Too late for that, ain't it?" He bounced the basketball hard and let it roll toward her. It thudded once and came to a stop at her feet. The gym was so quiet now that the sound echoed like a drum. The boys watched her, expecting her to flinch or maybe walk away. But she didn't. She placed the broom carefully against the bleachers and removed her work gloves, 1 finger at a time. Her movements were slow, deliberate, almost ritualistic. "You serious?" Ty asked, blinking. Ms. Ruthie stepped out from under the bleachers and walked toward the court. Her boots made soft tapping sounds on the hardwood. She stopped right at the edge of the center circle and looked at Jay. "You said I get the first hit?" she asked. Jay smirked, puffing out his chest like a game show host. "Sure, 1 free shot. Make it count, Grandma." Ty and Mike backed up a little, still chuckling. Without another word, Ms. Ruthie took 1 smooth step forward and threw a punch. It was so fast it looked like a flicker. Her right hand connected squarely with Jay's jaw with a solid crack that echoed off the gym walls like a firecracker. His head snapped sideways, and his body followed. He stumbled back, arms flailing, and hit the court hard. Silence. Mike and Ty stood frozen, mouths open. Jay groaned on the ground, 1 hand cradling his jaw. Ms. Ruthie didn't flinch. She adjusted the sleeves of her jumpsuit calmly and rolled her shoulder like she was just warming up. "Golden Gloves. 1977, she said, her voice even. "Featherweight champion, Midwest Circuit." She looked down at Jay. "That was your free shot." Jay didn't speak. He blinked up at the ceiling, dazed. Ty took a slow step back. Mike muttered, "Holy." Ms. Ruthie turned, picked up her gloves, and walked back toward her broom. "You boys ought to be more careful with who you challenge," she said over her shoulder. "Some of us have already fought tougher than you and lived to mop the floor afterward." She picked up the broom, resumed sweeping under the bleachers like nothing had happened. The sound of the mop sliding across the floor returned, calm and rhythmic. No one said a word. The Monday morning air was crisp and cool, and the school was already buzzing with quiet chatter as students shuffled through the halls toward their first classes. Posters from Friday night's basketball game still clung to the walls, half torn and curling at the edges, reminders of a night some would never forget. The scent of industrial cleaner lingered faintly in the air, and the hallway floors gleamed under the fluorescent lights, the result of a meticulous job done long after the crowd had gone home. Jay walked slower than usual, his backpack slung over one shoulder, a hood pulled up in a half-hearted attempt to hide the swelling on his left cheek. A bruise the color of dusk spread across his jawline. His usual strut was gone. No jokes, no daps to other athletes in the hall. He kept his head low, moving stiffly beside Mike and Ty, who had also gone unusually quiet since the weekend. The three of them looked like kids walking into detention. Students parted to let them through, not out of fear, but because something had shifted. A few people whispered as they passed. Someone snorted a laugh, trying to stifle it. Jay didn't respond. He wasn't angry. He wasn't embarrassed, exactly. He was humbled. For the first time in a long time. Far ahead of them, a familiar figure pushed a yellow mop bucket slowly down the hallway. Ms. Ruthie was making her usual rounds, a rag tucked in her belt, mop in hand, moving with the quiet patience of someone who'd seen hundreds of Mondays like this. Her back was straight, her face calm. She didn't seem any different than she always did, but somehow, she was. Jay slowed even more as they approached. His mouth was dry. He didn't know what he was going to say until the words slipped out. Ms. Ruthie, he said softly. She didn't look at him at first. She finished a long sweep of the mop across the floor, then slowly turned to face him. Her eyes met his. There was no smugness in her expression, no triumph. Just that same steady gaze, the same quiet strength he'd ignored before. I'm sorry, Jay said. He cleared his throat, voice low. We were out of line. A long pause hung between them. Mike looked down at his shoes. Ty shifted his backpack awkwardly. For a second, Jay thought she wouldn't answer. Ms. Ruthie finally gave a small, almost imperceptible nod. Took a hit to learn respect, she said. At least you learned. Jay swallowed and nodded. That was it. No lecture, no scolding, no need for it. The lesson had already landed. She turned back to her mop and kept working. As they started to walk past her, Ty leaned closer to Mike, whispering just loud enough to be heard. Think she could train us? Before Mike could answer, Ms. Ruthie's voice floated back, cool and even, without her turning around. Only if you're ready to mop the floors first. A ripple of laughter moved down the hall, students who'd overheard, teachers who couldn't hide a smile. But this time, it wasn't cruel. It wasn't mockery. It was admiration. Jay managed a crooked smile despite the soreness in his jaw. For the first time in a long time, he didn't feel like the toughest guy in school, and strangely, he didn't mind. Maybe it was time he stopped trying to be. Further down the hallway, a group of freshmen stepped aside to let Ms. Ruthie through. One of them, a shy girl with braces, gave her a small, respectful nod. Ms. Ruthie nodded, back, then continued down the corridor, mop swaying gently side to side. Jay watched her for a second longer. She moves like she's done this 1,000 times, he said quietly. Mike nodded. Yeah, and like she could still drop someone with one hand. Jay laughed, a genuine, sharp laugh that cracked through the hallway. His cheek ached when he did, but he didn't care. Something had shifted inside him. They walked on, slower than usual, but lighter somehow. Behind them, Ms. Ruthie turned the corner, disappearing out of sight, her mop bucket wheels squeaking softly, leaving behind not just a clean floor, but a wake of silence and respect.